Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a supernatural horror film, Red Eye. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The film begins with a little girl, Miss Sun, asking her grandmother about her father's whereabouts as it is her birthday. When her grandmother doesn't answer, Miss Sun shakes her body to wake her up, but it turns out she has died from a heart attack. On the other hand, two siblings, a girl and a boy, are trapped in a wrecked train after a crash. The boy removes their mother's body from his sister and holds her close to protect her from falling debris. Years later, Miss Sun is all grown up, working as a stewardess on her first night shift. Miss Sun meets her male co-worker, Chan, who's confused about seeing her. Miss Sun explains that she has switched shifts with a co-worker to work that day, as it is the train's last run. The conductor drives away from the station as the passengers leave the train. Miss Sun sells food and beverages to the passengers with her cart, as the conductor announces that the journey to Seoul takes 6 hours and 35 minutes. While taking a short break to eat, Chan informs Miss Sun that there's a retirement party for the conductor. Miss Sun points out the coincidence as it is her birthday, shocking Chan as she has switched shifts. Miss Sun simply replies that she has her reasons, but Chan will not let that go. He brings up the train crash that happened years ago. It turns out the train coaches from that crash that killed 250 people are incorporated on the train they are on. Miss Sun does her rounds again, as she doesn't find Chan scaring her, a funny act. Moments later, Chan, Miss Sun, and another co-worker surprise the conductor regarding his retirement. While eating the cake, one of the conductors suddenly pulls the stop lever, after seeing a little girl in a red dress on the rails, causing the passengers to bump into each other. After checking the rails, the conductor returns to the train and tells his co-worker that he may be seeing things because of the grotesque weather. The journey to Seoul continues, and this time the scene focuses on a bunch of teenagers filming a man in a suit who claims that he experienced something strange and creepy on that same train 3 years ago. As the man points to his seat where he claims he had seen a ghost, one of the teenagers, who has her third eye open, confirms that there is indeed something there. As they're a bunch of teenagers, Miss Sun doesn't really pay attention to what they're doing and advises them to refrain from moving a lot around as they might hurt themselves. Miss Sun takes a break and sits beside a little girl who's all alone by herself. The kid tells Miss Sun that she will meet her mom at the last stop, so Miss Sun gives her a snack. Miss Sun takes a look at the girl's sketchbook and finds a drawing of a woman dressed like her pushing a food cart on a train. The girl tells Miss Sun that the woman is her mom. As she looks at the drawn passengers, Miss Sun realizes that these are some of the casualties from the train crash years ago that she saw on the news. This creeps her out, as she cannot fully comprehend how a little girl can draw such a thing that happened before she was born. The girl suddenly grabs the sketchbook and ruins the drawing with a red color pencil. Miss Sun tries to stop her, but the girl colors Miss Sun's hand too. So Miss Sun washes off the stain on her hand in the bathroom when the co-worker suddenly comes in and fixes her uniform. She leaves seconds later without saying anything and not paying any attention to Miss Sun. As Miss Sun stares at her leaving, her cart suddenly begins moving by itself, like it's being pushed by something unseen. Miss Sun sees the cart going towards her, so she immediately opens the coach door and manages to enter just in time. However, when she turns around, she finds the passengers in the drawing seated moveless. As she backs away in fear, something black suddenly drops on her face, prompting her to let out a scream of horror. Miss Sun startles the passengers in that coach with her scream, and it turns out it's just a black wig owned by one of them. Miss Sun walks away and returns to the passageway to clean up her food cart like nothing happened. The psychic girl who can see ghosts from earlier helps Miss Sun on her food cart when the co-worker asks her to stop by the snack bar. Miss Sun meets her moments later, and the co-worker apprehends her for causing such disturbance to the passengers and leaving the cart unattended. Miss Sun apologizes to the passengers, and one of their co-workers says it's normal since it's her first day. Miss Sun takes a break in the nap room. Meanwhile, a newly married couple runs into the guy's former professor. Another passenger, a man probably in his late 50s that sits across from the professor, listens as the professor catches up with his former student. On the other hand, the wig owner checks out herself in the bathroom mirror as she wears the wig. Suddenly, something unseen wraps the wig around her face and neck, covering her whole head. Horror fills the woman's eyes as she can't speak. Not long after, the woman's friend begins looking for her, asking passengers if they have seen the wig owner. A friend attempts to contact the woman again, but it's vain. The train soon stops at the first stop, and a man gets off after ending things with his girlfriend. As another batch of passengers boards the train, Miss Sun sees the little girl walking alone in the fog, leaving her sketchbook. Miss Sun goes after her, but she loses the girl in the thick fog. However, she finds a man that looks exactly like her father on the train. Miss Sun's co-workers call her attention as the train's leaving, and when she turns around, the man is gone. Although still confused, Miss Sun boards the train, and as it leaves, a passenger at the station sees inside the train are some dead passengers from the train crash. Chan notices Miss Sun staring at nowhere, so he asks if she's okay. Mei-sun responds that she keeps seeing things. Chan responds skeptically that working a night shift tires her out and causes her to imagine things. Mei-sun changes the subject and reveals why she picked her birthday to work on that train. It turns out her father was exactly the conductor of the train that crashed years ago. Chan also reveals that he knew her dad. Mei-sun shares her sentiment on how after that accident, she was seen as the daughter of the train conductor who killed 250 people. That's why she came on that train, hoping to start over to end her tragedy. Chan comforts her by saying that her father would be proud of her. Meanwhile, the woman who just had her heart broken by her boyfriend smokes a cigarette in one of the stalls. Shortly after, the lights go out, so the woman uses her lighter to see in the dark, but then she sees something terrifying. Meanwhile, the professor converses with the man sitting across from him. The man shows a picture of his little girl and the music box he got for her. The professor then shows his wife's photo, and they laugh as they compliment each other's loved ones. On the other hand, Chan shares how Mei-sun's father helped during his first shift. As they pass the bathroom, Chan and Mei-sun smell the cigarette smoke. So they check it out, and not only do they find the cigarette, but they also see the heartbroken woman's corpse by the toilet. Her eyes and mouth are agape open, while her body is lying on the cold floor. Chan immediately contacts the police and informs them about what happened. The police will board at the next stop, and no passenger will leave the train until they find the killer. At this time, Mei-sun sits by the corpse to guard the woman's body against passengers. Mei-sun goes through the woman's phone, unaware that the corpse is moving slowly to touch her. Suddenly, someone takes flash photography of her. The photographer is one of the psychic girl's friends. Mei-sun immediately tells the psychic girl and her friend not to intervene. The psychic girl doesn't reply and leaves with the photographer like she has just seen something scary. As Mei-sun returns to the coaches, she sees herself in a room with the dead passengers from the train crash years ago. She immediately goes to another coach, only to be creeped out by her coworker, who suddenly acts strangely towards her. The coworker tells her straight-faced that she's going to die, just like every passenger on that train, striking fear in her chest. Suddenly, everything returns to normal, and the coworker is the one confused about Mei-sun's reaction. Mei-sun screams at her before sobbing that they're all gonna die, creeping out the passengers. The coworker tells her to snap out of her hysteria, but Mei-sun sees something. It is a train stewardess walking on the aisle when she accidentally kicks a bottle of medicine. The glass breaks, and blue powder scatters on the floor, causing a man to go after her. The flashback ends, and Chan worryingly asks Mei-sun if she's okay, as she has passed out. She asks Chan about Jin, the train stewardess in her vision, and her name rings a bell. Chan reveals that he was there the night of the train crash and saw Jin die. He's confused why Mei-sun is only the one seeing the past, so Mei-sun takes things into her hand. Meanwhile, after returning from the bathroom, the professor panics as his dissertation is gone. He looks for it and finds it in one of the bathrooms, mysteriously on fire. The passengers help him put out the fire, but by the time it's out, his dissertation has already burnt. On the other side, Mei-sun tells everything to the psychic girl, who informs them that after their last stop, she felt a spiritual presence on the train. Mei-sun and Chan ask for her help, but the psychic girl is unsure, as it still frightens her every time she sees the spirit of the dead. They then go to the bathroom, where they have found the heartbroken woman's corpse, only to discover that she's suddenly gone. Mei-sun takes the psychic girl back to her seat, as she suddenly feels uncomfortable and returns to the passageway to get some medicine. At this time, a woman named He is smoking by the passageway with her brother as they reminisce about how they survived the train crash. The two are siblings and wish they would have died together with their mother, as they believe death is their last destination. Despite being blood-related, the siblings engage in a deep-to-throat tongue massage. On the other side, the psychic girl finds a book near her seat, and shock and realization hit her as she recognizes the family on one of the pages. Simultaneously, the photographer wanders around an empty coach, jealous that he can't see the spirits of the dead. He wanders his eyes with his Polaroid camera when Jin's horrifying face suddenly appears before him. The photographer drops his camera as he hits his head on the seat from too much shock. Meanwhile, the psychic girl is gone from her seat when Mei-sun returns. Before looking for her, Mei-sun goes through the book the psychic girl found and sees several newspaper clips about the train crash, but the one with the departure time catches her attention as she realizes something. She shows it to Chan and explains that they stalled for 10 minutes when they stopped. The exact time is the crash train's last departure time. She believes that the ghost train merged with their train, but Chan suddenly changes the subject. He confesses that he and Jin were seeing each other exclusively, and during the night of the accident, they had a stupid argument. That was the last time he saw her, as Jin was taken as a hostage, and since then, Chan never wanted to reminisce about the past. Mei-sun firmly tells him they must stop the train as the psychic girl has disappeared. However, Chan disagrees as they're almost at the next stop where the police await them. As Mei-sun begins looking for the psychic girl, she unexpectedly finds her lying under the seats, bathing with her own blood. Mei-sun notices that the psychic girl is holding something, so she checks it out. It is He's bracelet, meaning he's the one who hurt the psychic girl. With her remaining strength, the psychic girl encourages Mi-sun to send back the spirits of the dead passengers. Seconds later, he comes in, followed by her brother. Mi-sun tries to run away when he suddenly stabs her with a pair of scissors on the shoulder and then kicks her to the floor. Not long after, the crew discovers that the train is not slowing down because he and her brother have killed the engine men to take over the control room. The passengers panic too, as they see that the train has not stopped at the station where the police await. The crew immediately evacuates the passengers to the rear as they realize the train will soon crash into another train. As Mi-sun wakes up, she sees her father, the man sitting across from the professor in front of her. The father bids goodbye to Mi-sun and tells her that he will take these lost souls of the passengers with him as he leaves. After that, the father vanishes. At the same time, a group of passengers finds the photographer's corpse on the floor. They run away in fear as the Polaroids begin flying because of a strong wind. The lights start breaking as they join the other passengers, prompting them to move forward. As the lights flicker, the ghost train reveals itself, changing the train's look. Mi-sun and Shan realize they need to drive the train to the accident site so as to stop it from haunting again, despite it being sealed off for years after the crash. As they walk to the control room, a hand suddenly grabs Mi-sun by the foot, and Jin emerges from the pool of blood. Jin begins crawling towards Mi-sun, who seems paralyzed from shock. Jin almost possesses Mi-sun when Shan apologizes for being unable to save her. Jin backs away, as that is all she wants to hear, because she died not on good terms with Chan. At this time, fear for their lives strikes every passenger as they see themselves inside the train that crashed years ago. Meanwhile, Mi-sun manages to enter the control room and stabs Hee on the arm with the scissors. She threatens to kill Hee if they don't stop the train. However, Hee's brother is much stronger, and soon the siblings hold her hostage. They show Mi-sun the burnt arm of Hee from the crash, but then Mi-sun tells them to look again, as there's no scar. The siblings do as they are told, and true enough, there is no scar. Mi-sun explains that they did not survive the crash, they are just lost souls in other people's bodies. A flashback reveals that Hee and her brother are the children died from the crash years ago. In anger and frustration, Jin repeatedly smashes Mi-sun's head into the door glass, staining it with her blood. Moments later, Mi-sun's dead father enters the control room and pilots the train harmlessly through the ghost train, merging the two trains, the supernatural and the real. As the merging stops, Hee's brother reverts to his child's self, comforting his little sister. The father holds Mi-sun's hand and apologizes for taking so long to get home to her. At this time, several passengers who turn out to be already dead disappear while the coaches return to their normal state. As the sun rises, life has already left Mi-sun, who's with her father now. The train has stopped, and the bewildered passengers get off. The scene changes to night again, and the train arrives at Seoul Station for its last run. The film ends with a couple boarding the train, and Mi-sun stands on the platform as the camera reveals that it is the ghost train, implying that the horror of it will never end and will continue to haunt the passengers. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.